Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Incantations and Elixirs, where conversation meets cocktails. Tonight, I have a special guest who I would consider an expert in the field of UFOs and extraterrestrials. I'll be bringing her on so she can introduce herself. This is Esther.
Hi.
Hi, Esther.
How are you?
I think we're lost sound. Okay, there we go.
Am I too loud?
I can't hear you.
You can't hear me at all? Can you hear me now? Do you have me muted? Okay, I'll leave and come right back.
Oh, there we go.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay.
Am I too loud?
No, you're good.
Okay.
So I don't know if anyone missed what I said. So we're on the second episode of Incantations and Elixirs, where conversation meets cocktails. And tonight we have Esther with us. And I consider her an expert in UFOs and extraterrestrials.
Far from it.
So much more than that. So we're going to have a great time tonight. This is our lead up to Halloween, which everyone can't wait for. And if you're not a fan of Halloween, maybe you shouldn't be here. So I do have lots of questions for you, but if you'd like to introduce yourself, I would love to hear what you have to say.
I saw a UFO. My son came and got me. I was cooking supper, 2008. And then, kind of got obsessed with it, researching, reading books, doing all these things. And then, I had the opportunity to tell my experience. And so I did. But the entities we deal with, I can't be sure that they're honest. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like they could be telling one contactee something and then another one something else. So, I know the cases, I know the research, I know everything, as far as I can get a hold of. Because as you know, the government has kept a lot from people all these years. So
in regards to everything, they lock.
Yeah, and I'm not an expert. I mean, I read and I'll pull from 3 or 4 different sources to try to form the big picture. But my experiences when they started, I had to end up looking back 10 or 15 years to figure out, what was really going on with me, and it didn't form a complete picture until I had, memories coming back little by little.
Okay.
And there was a project, and I, sent in my resume and stuff, and it's just a project on the side. And we've been getting the numbers on how UFOs can manipulate electronic equipment.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was doing some research so I can ask you certain questions, and it's called Project BATTECH 404, and BATTECH 404 stands for battery technology, and the 404 is the error code that we all seem to come up with whenever we do anything that we're trying to get to. And you do research with Jesse Peak, who seems to be the leader in anything that has to do with UFOs and extraterrestrials. I know nothing about this stuff. I just recently started to learn things because I had my own experience. And unless you do, I think that's when you really start to delve into anything related to something. But
It's really easy to get obsessed with it, you
it
know,
is.
and then sometimes I think they can manipulate us. And I signed a NDA, but there are some things I can talk about that's already been published.
Okay.
So,
So before you go into that, I wanted to know the difference between what a UFO is compared to a UAP, because I don't think I've ever seen a UAP in writing, and I don't really know what that is.
a UFO is unidentified flying object. A UAP is the new name for that, which is unidentified aerial phenomenon.
Okay.
Because the whole thing is a phenomenon, you know. Sometimes it seems to take on a life of its own.
Or phenomenal.
So,
Um, so how did you come into contact with Jesse?
he had posted looking for researchers, and so, you know, I sent in my resume, talked to him on the phone. We have 5 people working with us now. You know, we get cases, but I mean, they're declassified,
Mhm.
but we're looking for specific information in how electronics are affected.
Okay.
So,
It's a really amazing group that you're working with.
yeah, they are amazing people. They really are.
So we have a question. Steve Leslie wants to know, are there aliens living among us?
You know, I can't prove it.
Do you think?
I, I, yeah, I think there may be.
Or they at least visit?
I mean, that's where it crosses the paranormal, you know, because sometimes you'll see one at night in your room, almost like a ghost or something.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, how often do ghosts stop and visit and are in and out? I think it's all
I,
based on what you believe, truly, because there are
you
lots
know,
of people who don't believe in either.
I played with a Ouija board when I was like 12, and then we started having all kind of scary stuff going on in the house. So we had to have it blessed.
Yeah.
And I think Ouija boards open a portal because at 12 years old, I didn't know you were supposed to shut them down or whatever. You know, it was just like a sleepover kind of thing, you know, and then it did actually bring other beings into the house. So we had to have it blessed. Um, the UFO phenomenon is just really hard to figure out because they're so advanced that they could be projecting things to you, like changing how you feel about something, or um, it's just a big wide subject, and it gets deep and it's very complicated.
Right. Same thing with, if someone's empathic, uh, spirit can change how you feel as well. So, anything can change that.
Some people think that some of the visitors are like the old timey days of demons, and there are a lot of paranormal things that overlap. But
Yeah.
no, you know, nobody has the answers because there's so many people that have so much different little bits of it. So,
Yeah. Like I said, I think it's all in what a person believes. And who's to say who's wrong or right? Because there's really not much proof as of yet. Um, do you believe that there are certain people that are taken for a reason? And what is the reason?
you know, I couldn't even speculate. couldn't even do it. Things
And
I've
so,
read says, some species wanted to incorporate consciousness into their species. I don't
mhm,
know if that's true. There's so many different experiences and different points of view on it.
yeah.
It's just a very, very difficult thing to study and, come out.
We've had the discussion that it seems that a lot of people say that they've been taken or they have seen things and they all seem to have something electrical in common, or they've all been electrocuted or zapped or whatever the case may be.
That was my first publication with the project, is the patterns that I noticed in my cases of people that had just, happenstance said, I was working with an electrician, right about that time, and I was this and
Mhm.
this and this, and so I'm just listening, and then I started thinking, this is happening to a lot of people that deal with electricity. And the brain, I mean, I can't fathom how all this works. I haven't had the education, but
Right.
but our brains are electrical and they work off electrical signals. And now we're finding out, the Pentagon had put out, I think last year, that the electromagnetic fields that are around UFOs can affect your brain function. Because once you've experienced that, your way of thinking changes because it's such a mind blowing kind of thing.
Yeah. Um,
I mean, it goes really, really deep. And when you get that far deep, you know, I mean, it's just nonstop because you can just keep going farther and farther with it. And that's what people call being in a rabbit hole. You get stuck in the rabbit hole.
yeah. And there's so much to this. I mean, were we created by aliens? Because a lot of people are saying that the Anunnaki created us and they were alien. Um, and it's connected to an RH blood type.
I've heard that in documentaries. Uh, I couldn't say for sure. I don't know. I don't have any special inside kind of. I wouldn't know their reason.
Yeah.
So
And and that's just the beginning of it. It moves on to, is there a city under Antarctica? That's the new thing. There are people that are saying that there are, you know, alien crafts that are being seen. Who's seeing them? Is it government? Are they government crafts, not alien crafts?
I would just be speculating because again, I don't know. I know what I've read and what other people's opinions are and what they thought, but as far as, laying it on the line and saying what it actually is,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know it turns your life upside down and I
Right.
know it's confusing as hell.
Yeah.
That's what I know.
Um, do you believe that there are many races, ethnicities? Do you believe that there are just a few? Do you believe that there are thousands?
Uh, if you look at the number of all the mathematics of all the whole galaxy, I don't see why there wouldn't be.
Mm-hmm.
So
Look at us. I mean,
I
we're
mean, there's no way I could prove it. There's something about them that messes up technology. So people's going to hurry up and get a picture, but then their phone won't work,
Right.
or their car shuts off, or, there's lots of famous cases and there's lots of speculation. And if people know for sure, I don't know it.
Hmm.
I'm not part of that. So
There are so many of us, and we're not just one ethnicity. We're many ethnicities combined. We're little mutts.
we
And,
are.
we're not just white or black or brown. We're, mocha and all different flavors. So who's to say that there's not all different colors? That could be green and purple and polka dotted and long necks and extra long arms and
I
like
mean, who's to say? I see these ones, and then I talk to somebody else, and they see that one, and then the more you start talking and asking questions and stuff, you kind of realize that it seems to, and this is crazy. It seems to uh, target specific people for what they want that person to see.
right.
So,
So you think that they only show themselves if they want to be seen?
uh,
You
yeah,
see the
yeah, I
same,
think they have.
it's
Yeah,
not
I
like the
think they have.
rainbow, it's the rainbow.
Yeah, I think they have control over that. There's actual footage of a whole fleet of them over the Capitol, and according to Ancient Aliens, it's been running 15 or 16 seasons. The planes that were scrambled, the jets and stuff, they shot at them, but like the bullets went right through them. It didn't hit them like that. So, sometimes they're physical, hard, but then sometimes they're more like a projection, maybe. We just don't know. We don't know.
Kinda like a hologram?
I guess they would have that technology.
Okay. Um, I found it interesting when I was reading about um, what you found during the research when it said that there were chemicals used to protect against heat that NASA used for shuttle reentry.
Was that my publication?
It was, yeah, it was in uh, the CUFOS, for the International Group of Scientists, and it said, "What have you found from this research? Organic carbide, sulfur, chemicals used to protect against heat. NASA used this on the shuttle reentry, and green polyvinyl fluoride."
Yeah, so that wouldn't be the publication. That would be part of our research.
Okay. But it's interesting that NASA used this. So it's something either NASA developed because they found the same thing.
Well, all of what we studied is unclassified, so anybody can find it. And it was probably something to keep the spacecraft coming back in, or the shuttles from bursting into flames.
Mhm.
From the speed of coming back into the atmosphere.
But the fact that they had found this at a location that there was a UFO crash, I'm assuming, or that there was a UFO entry, or
You talking about a rocket that was shot?
I'm not sure. Um, it just said, "What have you found from this research?" And it listed these things. But the fact that this was research that was done with UFOs or UAPs, that if this was related to something that you found, they were using the same thing that NASA was using. So either NASA took this from UAPs or it was the opposite.
You know, it's a constantly changing phenomenon. And I guess the vehicles they use, maybe one race does this, maybe another race does that. What we were looking at is how does it affect our technology as compared to how it used to affect, technology, such as like electric engines as compared to diesel,
Right.
Things like that. Cell phones, and it, it all comes back down to electromagnetic fields. And Dr. Gary Nolan has done a lot advanced in what kind of effects it has on the brain. If you're within a certain vicinity and we've been working on that project over a year. I don't foresee it ending anytime soon because it's something that's always changing.
Right.
Hmm.
So what exactly are the effects on a human brain? Like what kind of symptoms would someone have?
Somebody might display, fear, PTSD, anxiety, night terrors. Um, but then again, some people, say they had a beautiful experience and, it was all positive. And I guess it would depend on the person and the filter and the lens and the filter they're looking through that
Right.
they were raised with, and who the person is
Or
would be
maybe
reflecting back onto the person.
what species took them and what they were trying to do.
It's hard to say. Some people have been physically taken according to their stories, and some people think it happens in the astral realm.
Mm-hmm. So I don't know if you can do this or not, but can you share with us some of the stories that transpired with leaving their names out, or is that classified?
A lot of people that had reported those, the declassified ones, wanted to be anonymous because of the stigma that goes with it. Because we're looking at data from like then compared to now. Some of the people didn't, care about being anonymous, but some of them do, and we respect that because um, they're contributing to the study of it, and we're going to respect, their anonymity.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Once you see a UFO, you're crazy and
Yeah.
delusional because it just starts all these wheels turning. Like, if that, then this, and if that, then why not that? And then it's a really uh, bizarre phenomenon, and it seems to be constantly changing.
Has anyone had anything that I know you can't give details, but has anyone had anything happen that was something out of a horror movie?
I know, yeah, I know of one case.
And how are they after? Are they functioning? Are they
I don't know the outcome of the witness, but they were immediately debriefed, you know. and told not to say anything the way they've done it for years and years and years. But that account, and it's even been posted on the website, the most graphic one. It's a serious thing, and people like to laugh about it. When other people who experience things, they constantly trying to get to the bottom of it. And it seems to be it seems to reply back, The
Yeah.
universe seems to reply back to you. It's a weird, weird place to be. It's,
Yeah. It's not funny. It's
it's
not.
it's
It's a very
not.
serious
It's not.
matter.
And I'm gonna tell you, when the event itself wasn't terrifying. I mean, it was shock. It was, shock. But later on, the implications and the thought process, and I mean, you know, I don't think maybe some brilliant minds do, but I don't have the capacity to figure it out and understand it. So, with being involved in research, I can just, chart what the witnesses saw, and I can chart what happened to the technology they were using, whether it was radar, um, whether it shut down a missile silo or started one up. All these things that most people in the general public don't know about.
Yeah.
Because once you start talking to somebody else about it, they, it seems to be contagious. It's really, really strange. It's really strange.
I think a lot of people are open-minded to the fact that there is something out there. However, there are people who say that they don't believe in it. It's ridiculous. But I feel that we would be terribly arrogant to say that there isn't anything, because if we're the only things out in the universe, we're like a shallow gene pool.
There's too many accounts of native peoples, like all over the world, drawings and caves, all kinds of things.
Mhm.
Um, they've been involved with uh, people here probably since we've been here, you know.
Hi, Yuffie. She said the Mexican, is it ufologist? Is that how you pronounce that? Ufologists have the right idea. UFOs diving into volcanoes, alien volcano sacrifices. Well, I mean, even going through the Bible, they say that there was a fiery chariot UFO, the Anunnaki. I mean, Thoth. There's so much. Hi. There's so much that can be discussed over this. And that's why I say, like, it's such a deep, deep topic. Like, even the RH blood type, when I mentioned that earlier, they say it was an angel and an Anunnaki that bred to have, a child, or the 12 lost tribes that's who bred to give us our DNA. And there are 12 strands that are hidden in us, and there's one that shows. I mean, there's so much that could be discussed. This could go on for hours.
You have to filter through what's sensational and um, what could be realistic, you
Right.
know.
Right.
Um, just because one study showed this, but 5 other ones showed that, you're not going to spotlight the one over the 5. You know what I'm saying? You
Mm-hmm.
have to take into account, all of them with relatively the same experience to compare them.
Yeah.
So sometimes, people they've been filmed shooting a volcano.
The Lost
I
Tribe of
don't know
Deer.
why. I don't know why. We don't know why. I can speculate and say maybe it was to take the pressure off so the explosion wouldn't be as big. You know, like let some of the pressure out. But I don't know that. That's just something.
Archaeologists have looked for centuries of proof of their existence, and now this. The Lost Tribe of ERRT.
The lost tribe of the Ertlands.
I had, and I'm not afraid to say this, I'm a very open book, and I don't care if people think I'm crazy. It's always good to be a little bit. I had an experience where I was meditating and I cleared my mind, and I was immediately feeling a cold metal table underneath me. And I had one of those paper medical sheets over me, all the way up over my head, and it slid off of me. And there were ETs all the way around me. They all looked different. And the one that was standing closest to my right pulled the sheet back over my head. And from I don't know if it was the last radio show I did or when you had interviewed me, my mom used to call me Curiouser and Curiouser. And that just made it worse for me. So I kind of pulled the sheet with my fingers back down, and they were like talking, not with their mouths. I could hear them in my head. And it was kind of like a, and all I knew was that I could kind of understand that they were talking about, it was like going to get your nails done. You can't understand. And when I pulled it down, one that was next to me, he kind of like looked down at me with this disgusted look on his face, and he pulled it back up. So I would do it again, and he would and pull it back up. So I would do it again, and it got to the point where I was giggling. And there was one on the left side down for me, and that one started to giggle. So then I realized that they have like this very sarcastic attitude, kind of like I do, but they're also funny. So this one would like pull up, I'd pull down, and we kept doing this game. And then finally it pulled it up and it held it down with its hand. And I was pulling, and that one kept laughing, and it was like this weird little giggle. And then when I came out of my meditative state, I could still feel the metal on my back. And I still felt like the warmth of the room. It was like a glowing bluish color. And I could still feel that they were around me. This was not real. This happened at some point. What did the ETs look like? Please describe them in minute detail. And what did their mouths look like? And what did their speech?
You could read 150 UFO books, and you're going to have 150 different stories and hypotheses.
They all look different. And this is why I said they could be, and I explain this when I tell people this story, that just like we have, so say I'm white, you're white, Ron's white, but we're all different ethnicities. I think that they have the same thing. Everyone has a different ethnicity, and they have different ethnicities, and they're different races and genders and whatever. But I think for some reason they are like hermaphrodites, because I felt like they're not just male or female. They could be both. And they were funny. Like,
I mean, that could be possible. We have species here that are.
mm-hmm.
So, I don't think that would be out of the realm of possibility.
And they weren't like grays.
But I
Everyone's
don't know, I
voice.
don't know anything about any of them like that, but I don't know why it couldn't be possible since we have witnessed that here.
I felt like I was in a place that was kind of like Earth, where they all kind of lived together, but this was like harmonious. So one was maybe blue and it had a big long neck with long arms, but then it had like this big belly hanging and like short legs. And then the next one was olive green and it was short and its tongue was hanging out and it had bulgy eyes. The next one was kind of clay colored and it had a normal body and it just looked like a human ish. The one that was giggling was yellow and like sunshine almost. And it was like, but they talked like,
Uh, from different accounts, they talk through telepathy. Like
and
they've
that's,
evolved beyond words.
yeah. Anyone I've ever come in contact with, like my watchers, they talk through telepathy. It wasn't, they had tiny little mouths. Average height was 5'7" to 5'9".
I don't doubt it. I don't doubt it.
They weren't extra tall, but my watchers are tall, like real tall.
Yeah,
Between 5'7" and 5'9".
something has, played a part. Um, in my opinion, all along, you know, um, I don't think they like the way that we always want to go to war. Um, different countries want to be dominant. If there's any technology, countries want it first so they can be the most dominant. It's just such a, there's so many facets to it
Mm-hmm.
because it can also reveal to you parts of yourself you didn't know that was there. So, it's a mystery. It's a mystery. And, if anybody ever figures it all out, I would love to know.
Oh, I'm definitely going to be haunting just to find out. Um,
But they can walk through walls. I mean, they do things that's paranormal.
well, I mean, they obviously, I mean, the watchers, I don't know if there's definitely something paranormal. I don't know what they are, but they kept me protected my whole life. They don't smell like shrimp. Um, how many senses did I
There's some
obviously
theories.
saw
There's some theories that there's some, deep in the ocean.
the cartoon dimension. They because they
Those are
really
USOs. Those are unidentified submersible objects.
I was reading about that today, actually. People were saying that they saw something and then they didn't see something. And it took off so fast, but it was so large. And they were asking men in the Navy many questions because there's so many of them that just sit and wait. And lots of them saw them. USOs, I think they're called. USOs.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting.
The thing is, and I've heard this example over and over. There could be three people in the car, and two people see a huge one, and a third person in there can't see it. And
So they are just showing
there's
themselves.
no explanation. And through the way you were raised and what you were exposed to, you and I could see the very same thing, but you and I are going to get different feelings and how we feel about it and what we think about it because we're looking at through the filters of our experiences.
So do you think that so just like people have the sixth sense and they see certain things, but other people don't. Is it like that? Or is it that it's the filter?
You know, I don't know how, because I'm going to tell you right now, I did not believe that was anything that was possible at all. Like, not a UFO at all, much less beings. So for me, that was a big reality break, because all of a sudden, everything you've been taught since birth has shifted, and you don't know what's true anymore, because you find out, you know, maybe these things were true, but maybe these weren't. So, you know, it might just come to people individually. Sometimes they might show themselves to like a whole schoolyard, like I was telling you before,
Mm-hmm.
in at the aerial. Uh, but they, you know, I feel like I don't know. Some say you can't trust them, and they can control your thoughts, and then some say, you know, well, they're teaching you to get rid of nuclear weapons, take care of your planet, you know, love each other,
Mm-hmm.
quit fighting all these wars and killing each other. So, and that's the kids, and to me, that symbolically means, you know, we're going to try to teach y'all early so you don't make the same mistakes that others have made when they were older.
Right.
So it's just subjective to the person and what they experience.
Yeah. And that's good that you brought that up when you say early, because it kind of leads into Yufi's question. So she says, why do humans only have 5 known senses and then lump anything else into 6 sense category? Let's refine those extra senses into discrete proper attribute vectors. And then Ron said, we do not know how to describe the senses outside the 5. And she said, in the UK, they say plasticine. In the US, it's clay, or if you ask a kid, Play-Doh. There is Play-Doh and there is clay, which is true.
Um, I would be interested in letting Ufi answer it, because I feel like that's a setup.
Humans are smarter than some rocks. That's why I said we have a shallow gene pool. Let them get together and figure out how to describe sensory experiences beyond the normal 5. And here's something really interesting. So when I got sick, I was explaining how something felt to a doctor, and I have a very hard time remembering words. So I have to sometimes take a breath so I don't lose it and think of a different word. And this one particular day, I said, it feels zappy. And the doctor looked at me and kind of did the RCA dog and said, zappy? It feels zappy? And I said, I can't think of the word I want to use. And I started crying. And he said, no, that's a good word. And I said, I'm sorry, I can't think of anything better.
It's hard to tell between the psychology of a person, you know, compared to whether you're being manipulated or not. Because if that's what they've done, then they're good at it.
Well, I read something later that when you go to a doctor, use words like little kids do to explain how something feels, because that's the best explanation that you can use for a doctor to understand. Not, it feels like it's poking or stabbing or whatever. Zappy was the best word I could come up with at that time, because it was like a neuropathy pain.
Okay.
And they said when you use little kid terms, it's more descriptive. So that question is great, because your senses don't always feel the way they normally would.
And
If something
especially
happens.
if something's going on in your nervous system,
Right. So my nervous system is completely messed
You
up.
can't explain it's misfiring because your brain's not functioning right. So you come off with zappy, and so
It is electric. And if I turn my head back a little bit, I get an electrocuted feeling down my back. It's zappy. It's in my feet and my hands every single day. Like it's beyond static. It's like being electrocuted.
um, I wouldn't know anything medical like that.
But if I were to explain that to you, you would understand that. Zappy.
Yeah.
So that's the only way to explain it. But he understood it. Doctors, some of them haven't been through neuropathy. They don't know. And pins and needles isn't really right either.
And that can come with a lot of things like diabetes or multiple sclerosis. I mean, there's all kind of things that can cause that.
Mm-hmm. And it wasn't any of those things. It was an autonomic system malfunction, which
Yeah.
doesn't go away.
Because you found out later you were diagnosed with that, right?
In 2016.
Yeah.
And it was from mold poisoning. So
I mean, it's kind of like if I just figured this one other thing out, you just get obsessed with it because your mind just turns because it can't locate, what you're trying to connect it with.
well, that's how I was with this. So
Yeah.
this ruined my senses. My senses are either in overdrive or in underdrive, and my sixth sense went berserk. So I was like a medical nightmare until I was reading till 5 o'clock in the morning, trying to figure out what was wrong with me, and I couldn't sleep. So that's all I did was read. So when you're infatuated with something and obsessed, and it's like UFOs or ghosts or whatever, that's what you're into.
Yeah,
And
it kind of picks the people. It kind of picks people somehow.
you,
Whoever it can shock the most, I guess.
yeah, at a young age, many people experience a sense of zap. Something encourages them to zap themselves. Wall sockets, batteries. Yeah, the 9 volt on your tongue.
Yep. And we had electric fence for a pony, and my brother said, "Go touch it and see if it's plugged up." And I did. And
My
my finger
husband,
my finger wrapped around it, and I couldn't get it off,
my husband actually reached over the fence to pet our horse, and he was shocked right in the heart. And you could see him like,
There's some differences in people's brains that experience UFOs, but there's also some brains that are normal of people that experience UFOs. And Dr. Gary Nolan, he's bringing a lot out into the open of what he's been studying with like MRIs and stuff. Certain areas of the brain, it's got to do with opening your third eye and all that kind of stuff.
so have they looked at the MRI, and what does it look like? What was the difference if it's
Um,
because
what
I think I'm perfectly normal.
one study showed like the way that uh, the way that it had grew back where it was damaged. I guess they caught it and the putting them in the brain. It overdevelops more connections to different parts of the brain, and so that contributes to making people psychic. They think, but everything's a hypothesis because nobody knows.
So is it that there's more more brain tissue?
You know, you would have to listen to him explain it because I'm not a neurologist or anything like that. Um, you know, he's come away with some pretty good stuff. He's been studying. It's interesting.
I want to see what if I could find it online to see what it says.
He had an interview. I think it was on a morning show where he kind of explained it, which seemed to me to be groundbreaking. You know, I didn't even know they were working on it.
Pretty cool.
So,
and it was Gary Nolan.
Nolan, Dr. Gary Nolan.
Because if it actually changes the brain of a person, and you said it
I'm
actually,
not saying it does, because some they found were born that way. Some were born that way, and they just have more connections to what they believe could be the psychic part of your brain. But most of the people that did have that were born that way. And so, you know, he would be the one to look up and listen to because he's a specialist in the field.
that's really interesting, because if it's actually changing the brain and it's making it better.
I'm not saying it does. I'm saying it could
No, but
have.
I'm saying if it does.
You know, it could have. That's another hypothesis. You know, nothing's definite in this field.
It would be really interesting to see what would happen if someone was taken that like had a stroke or was in a coma or.
I do remember there was some of the brain scans. Um, they didn't know how they were so damaged and didn't die from it.
Wow.
But the body naturally, you know, heals itself and takes care of itself, um, and they could have been born that way. You don't know. It's elusive. It is a very elusive subject. And you have to be open-minded to try to take in all the information because, you know, if you throw one part of it out, it could mean the difference in where it starts and how far it goes. You know, if you're missing that one thing,
Yeah.
you know, it goes really deep. It goes really deep. And I'm not equipped to understand it because I've tried. It's interesting. But you know, like other people said, if they had a wanted us dead, they could have done it a long time ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's just it's one of those elusive things. You can't capture it.
What do you feel is the most fascinating part of all of this? Like if you could sit and just read about anything involving UAPs or extraterrestrials, and I said pick one part of the subject, what would it be about?
It would probably be you know, why do they come here?
Is there anyone that feels like they've gotten close to an answer?
There's tons of books. There's tons of hypotheses. Something that's really hard to do is repeat it in a lab setting,
Yeah.
and that's what you have to do to prove, that you'll have the same outcome over and over and over, you know, um, I don't see any way to do that.
So how many times have you had someone contact you in regards to the bat tech? Like, how many cases have you had?
I mean, just a rough estimate. Well, I don't know. I signed an NDA. I don't know if I should say that or not, but
Okay.
it would be enough to figure out, the percentages out of 100 or more.
So there's quite a bit then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of them are things that are going on right now with people, and some of them we pull from declassified documents. We have a database,
Mm-hmm.
we set up, what was interfered with, the radar, whatever, radio, cell phone, whatever, camera. And at the end of it all, we're going to be able to give percentages of what's affected the most, because when you go to take a picture of them so you can prove it, it's a big blur because
Yeah, it goes bye-bye.
because of the energy that's around it. So people want the proof, but how do you get that? How do you get it?
I think it's the same with anything paranormal. You try to take a picture and then it deletes, or you're taking video and the video camera goes dead, or the battery gets sucked dry, or
They're
it's
same kind of stuff. Yeah, I mean, just watch Skinwalker. It's just
um,
it's so elusive. It's so elusive.
I don't know what to ask you about because I know you did sign something. I don't know what you're able to talk about.
Um, I mean, that's just a
Oh, I know.
non-disclosure agreement. Um, I mean, if I knew anything more, I would tell you. I would tell you.
Um,
We've been making some headway with the government as far as releasing information, because it's hard for people to study it if they don't have access to the information.
that's kind of surprising.
So it's like you're figuring it out, but there ain't nothing to look at to do it. So
Goofy wants to know, do aliens get bored of abducting humans? And is the secret destroyed by talking about? How many people have to talk about a secret before it's completely destroyed?
I know that's the 100 monkey theory. I know. There's also that thing about if you talk enough about something or what enough people do, it'll happen. So it's just so much physics and all kind of. I just document. I document. I have my own theories because my own experiences, and you know, just move right along and keep going. Maybe 10 years from now, somebody will look back and see a connection. You don't know. You don't know.
What if flashers had to sign non-disclosure agreement? I was actually going to say that what if the aliens were actual flashers? Maybe they would actually be caught on camera at that point.
Um, some of them may be able to cross dimensions, kind of like with the ghost. Um, you know, I really don't have any answers. I really don't. I have a lot of questions.
So basically, we could just ask each other a bunch of questions for like rhetorical value.
Yeah, we could.
So, do you think when I was meditating, and that's kind of when I see movies of things happen that either did happen or going to happen, do you think that that was something that happened?
I don't know. I wasn't you at the time. I couldn't feel what you were feeling.
Well, I felt everything after like it actually happened.
I couldn't say, honestly. I'm not you. That would have to be up to you.
I think it
A
definitely,
lot of people say, I think that you think what you think happened is real, which is basically saying what happened was not real. So,
it just seemed too real and there was too much detail. And you know how when you have a lucid dream, you have all the senses. It just seems too real to not be real.
right. Yeah, I know. I know.
I mean, I felt everything afterwards as well. And it was while I was meditating, so I was awake. It was like a past life or, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I've had experiences in that dream state. Um, so it's hard to know because your own mind can make you believe. And I don't think it's on purpose. I think it's just trying to make sense of what, you know. But people do get messages and things like that in their sleep,
Yeah.
but there's no way to prove it.
The weird part about this is, I obviously wasn't sleeping. I was never into UFO or UAP, anything. That was the one thing besides like Bigfoot that I wasn't interested in. The moment that that happened, I wanted to know everything about it.
Yeah.
So that's what kind of brought me around to want to know more. Ufu says best and funniest UFO ET related skit was Saturday night. Oh, is that the one with Ryan Gosling? Because I cried so hard last night.
It's Oofy, is it Elon Musk chat on Mars?
Esther, would you mind if a demon ET took possession of your body for a while?
Hell yeah, I'd mind.
If it's a demon ET, I think anybody would mind. Then anything you say would not be under your NDA because it wouldn't be used.
Yeah. We can get into
You'd
quantum
have to go
physics.
to court for that one, I think, to
Yeah.
prove.
Yeah, that's quantum physics. Well, it wasn't really me, and that part of me didn't sign it, so.
The demon, how do you know her eyes were glowing red? I do love the Saturday Night Live skit with Ryan Gosling and is it Kate McKinnon?
I don't
There
think
were
I've
two
seen
of
it.
them.
I don't really watch TV.
I don't either, but I found this, and I
I
don't even know how I
yeah,
found
I came across some stuff. It's funny.
it. It was a rabbit hole kind of thing when I started looking, and then I found this, and I was laughing so hard I was crying, and it was like that goose laugh, that like, and then I realized that there was a second part to it, and I was done. I had to like put myself to bed for the night because it was so bad. She's hysterical, and he literally had to wear a hat and put it over his face so nobody could see he was laughing because he was like, you have to see it. It's hysterical.
I'll look it up.
It's just SNL Ryan Gosling like alien abduction or something. You could find it, but you have to watch both because they are hysterical. So I'm trying to think of where I wanted to go with this.
So what does a witch do on Halloween?
I take Halloween off and we do things as a family because it's kind of like a holiday for me. Um, we would go to like parties or we would, not last year, but the year before, or was it last year? We went to this enormous Halloween party in this awesome neighborhood, and it was a woman who she does like parties for celebrities, and she did stage design for them as well. And she's really awesome. I love her. So we would go to this party. The first year I was doing tarot card reading for it. And then the second year she's like, we would really love for you to come back. And I said, I really wanted to spend the holiday with my family. And she's like, bring them. It'll be so much fun. It was like chaos, absolute chaos. So then I decided after that, because I didn't even get like a moment to breathe or to get a drink or to spend time with my family. It was like 9 hours of being at this party. We all went as vampires.
Wow.
So it was really cool. Like this house was enormous and we had a lot of fun, and I really loved the family, which I'll have to tell you the name of the family later because you'll die when you hear this. It was perfect for Halloween. But I think this year I'm doing a wedding, and I wasn't going to do it, but I decided to. I'm doing a wedding, and then I think we're going to go out for a little bit, but we're planning on watching horror movies. And
That doesn't give you nightmares?
no, I've been watching scary movies since I was little.
Mm-mm. I think The Exorcist was the worst one I ever saw.
That's one of my favorites. We just watched that 2 nights ago.
I'll never forget that ever.
The Exorcist and Poltergeist, they were 2 of my favorites.
Poltergeist wasn't bad.
It's always the pool with the skeletons popping out. We never wanted a pool after that, but we got one anyway.
And one of my favorite movies from when I was little was E.T., and I never imagined that could be real.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah, you remember that movie?
I do. I went to see that movie with my cousins in Virginia.
I felt so bad. I cried and stuff when he was dying. It was horrible.
That was terrible. But
it was horrible.
The empath in us, because it was so heart-wrenching.
Yeah, I mean, just because maybe they look weird and maybe it's just not something we're used to, but that don't mean they're demons or they have their own societies and stuff, I think. I hear you. Trying to get some product placement.
No, Oofy asked me what I was drinking.
Oh, you're supposed to have cocktails.
I'm having an issue today.
Uh-oh.
So I had to go for the no alcohol this time. I was actually going to pour some rum in it. Yeah, I had to go with no alcohol.
I mean, there's just a whole bunch of studying that needs to be done, but they need to release the records and stuff like they're trying to get done so that it can be properly studied, what was documented instead of, being covered up and stuff for so long. Well, and they probably had good they probably go ahead.
Do they hold the records for a certain amount of time like they do with everything else? Like with the JFK records, do they hold those for, 50 years or something?
I don't know. But whatever it is, it was probably for the best at the time because that's a pretty big deal,
Yeah.
you know.
I think
So
that, I mean, yeah, they're the government. Yeah, it's, they have control of the cases or whatever, but if it's supposed to be a democracy, I think we should have access to them. I think that we deserve to see.
okay, let's just say we had some kind of exotic propulsion, some kind of something 50 years ago. Would we want that available to the public? Would that not um
Well, if it was 50 years ago.
no, I'm saying if we were back 50 years ago and they just released it.
Oh, 50 years ago?
Yeah. Would we
Um,
want other countries to know that? I mean, wouldn't it be in the best interest of the ones in charge to decide
well, look
when
at the ones in charge.
yeah, but wouldn't it be up to them to decide when society's ready to deal with something like that?
Do they
After
really make the
seeing
best
how some others
decisions?
acted at some crash scenes, you know,
Do they really make the best decisions for us all the time?
I think they try.
Um, I don't know. I mean, I think that they've hidden some things from us and then they've told us some stuff and it doesn't always it I don't know.
If it's national security, um,
I'm sorry. Exotic dancer pro pole shunned. What a headline.
what does that mean?
That's what Yuffie just said. And she said, what music is best for humans grown in giant ET test tubes? What's that song? Stand in the place where you live.
It's REM days.
Yeah,
You tell me, Oofy.
REM. She said sometimes the brain just hears what it wants.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think maybe to release the information, but have an elixir for it.
They have came a really long way in the past like 5 years. Society had to be ready, and that takes a long time.
I think society has come a long way.
They have.
The
They have.
government, I don't know. Esther, would you like a card?
Yeah, I got some too.
That's what Yuffie said. I don't know. I think watching what happened with COVID, and this is not to go into like a political debate, but I don't know. I think things could have gone better. Although this would have been like, oh my God, monsters. Maureen, would you like a card? Sure.
You know who? And yeah, I'll take a card. No problem with that.
Ron wants to know if
I mean, that's what the nuns used to do, right? To keep up with the scriptures and stuff, right? It just turned into something different, or beliefs changed. I think it all comes down to intention.
Yeah.
You know, what are your intentions?
Perception and intention.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the laws of the universe. If you're wanting to manifest something, it has to be for the right intention because the vibration and the frequency.
Yeah. And I don't know if the government would be the best to handle that.
I'm sure they've got the best that they are. I mean, who could come up and be the best at this? I mean, I'm not aware of any master's degree program that would encompass everything that surrounds the UFO mysteries. We got engineers,
I don't know, because when you think about it,
there's
like,
technology, but then there's so much psychology too. It's a mixed bag of
somebody said to me, well, who should handle the Roe versus Wade thing? And I said, not the government. It should be the doctors. It shouldn't be the state. It should be the doctors. So if it comes down to this, I don't know, it shouldn't be the government. It should be scientists. It should be people who are studying it.
that's why there have been founding people in this subject pushing all these years to get things released. Stephen Greer does the CE5, and he's not everybody's cup of tea. But
Nobody's going to be.
at the National Press Club that he organized, I think it was the year 2000. You can look it up. I came across it after what I had been through, and there's some high-ranking officials that testified. There's been leaders in the field, and I think they understand now that things have to be released to be able to be studied, because you can't give half a story and figure out the whole thing with only a few breadcrumbs. You know what I mean?
And that's why I think, like, it shouldn't be the government who handles this situation. I think it should be the scientists, because what happens if one day, all of a sudden, a UAP crashes and we have thousands of little green men running around and no one had any idea of anything going on, and the government's like, oh, we did this for 50 years, but we just didn't release it.
I mean, as far as the crashes went, I think maybe they didn't calculate the gravity right. There was also a crash in 1897, Aurora, Texas. I think they pretty much stay out of the way and try not to cause any kind of harm. And then again, you're talking about different species.
Mm-hmm.
And all this is just reality in my mind. That don't mean, there's any truth to it. That's just what I've experienced. So it's so subjective. It's subjective.
Ron wants to know, what do you think was the foil piece they showed from the Roswell crash?
I think I saw that it was the antenna from a balloon, but at first they reported it was a metamaterial that you could bend it, crumple it up, whatever, and it would go right back into place the way it was. Last I heard, it was like an antenna, some kind of balloon, a weather balloon or whatever.
It could have also been.
It's hard to know without all the information, and that's the problem.
The cover for a TV dinner.
Could be. Could be. Banquet. Banquet TV dinner.
Remember those old TV dinners that were just silver foil?
I still have them. I still get them.
Rosemary was cooking dinner for Ted, and it blew out the window, and that was Roswell.
There's a museum there, and they have like 5 little pieces of what come from the crash site in the actual museum. And
really?
In my mind, I'm like, none of this would be here if it didn't exist,
Yeah.
It's a museum. So
look at how many people have said the Holocaust didn't happen. Or
I have heard that, and that is the most ridiculous thing I
they
have.
have pictures of these
They
stars.
made us watch a film in school about it. Yeah,
People. But you know
yeah.
what their argument is? They never showed the people actually in the showers dying.
I saw it. They showed it at school. It was acid showers. There have been some evil dictators. Well, let's say negative, I guess.
People say that 9/11 didn't actually happen, or the landing on the moon didn't happen. It was done in a green room. 9/11
I've heard
didn't
that
actually
too.
happen.
I've heard all that.
There was a
I
bomb at the Pentagon.
I wouldn't know. I've heard all the same stuff. I don't have any kind of privileges to any kind of inside information.
Oh, Ufi's doing cards. Ron, symbol on card. The preacher, the priest, the missionary, the inner therapist, belief, insight, philosophical view of the world. You have become obsessed with an idea, now you are stuck. You therefore give away part of your soul in the hope of receiving something better. You are ruled by underworld forces. You are gambling with the devil. Find out what idea it is you are obsessed with at the moment. Do nothing more and nothing less than you need to. You can only reach the light at the end of the tunnel by tackling the landscape of the underworld and crossing it. Nothing more can be done, nor can it be bettered.
Oh, is that for me?
I think this is still him, isn't it? Avoid looking for improvements. That's one of his favorite ideas. Only Virgil's words can help you now. Look closely and go on. The metamorphosis will take place. Old images must be shattered, just as Moses destroyed the golden calf long ago. These images will ultimately dissolve like a morning fog in sunlight because they never really existed. Goofy, is that all for Ron? Oh, all for Ron.
Oh, Ron.
That's a lot.
Better straighten up.
It's your tinfoil straight. He says, wow. So yeah, I really think that if you have, if it's just a couple little pieces of tinfoil, it could have blown away. It could have exploded so much that that's all that's left.
I think there was a lot more left, and I think I know where it went. And I think I know who broke it down and reverse engineer it.
Do you want to go next, or?
But I'm only parroting what I've read, so yeah, I'll go next.
Okay. Esther's next. That can't be everything about UFOs, UAPs.
I would like to think there is going to be eventually, a meeting of the minds to where, maybe we can catch up if we're behind according to them, and be able to live in some kind of harmony now that our society has come a little further, Maybe they have the wisdom now not to drop nuclear weapons, because that's not only going to impact us, it's going to impact other beings and other dimensions. And that might all sound like Greek to you, but that's kind of what I think might be going on. I don't know. I could have an overactive imagination.
Greek, because I think that due to what I do, we're kind of dealing with the same thing, because there is no, knowing that I deal with people who need to be at peace, and there has to be harmony and meditation and whatever. I'm pushing for the same thing, and all I'm seeing when I close my eyes is I'm watching people driving and stopping their cars and getting out and screaming and punching people in the face, and that has to stop. There's so much rage and anger and hatred, and I'm trying to help people to understand that needs to stop and that they need to change. And it's starting very slowly. It's trickling down to I'm watching people love a little more, but it's not nearly what it needs to be. And all I keep thinking is, if they are watching us, they're laughing like hell because we look like morons. We've been warned how many times?
I don't know if they have emotions. I don't know.
The ones that I saw do. The watchers that I have do, if that's what they are. Maybe not all of them do. I mean, maybe
You
some
said
have
they had a brown cloak on with a hood.
a black cloak with a hood.
Black.
Or maybe brown, I don't know, but I thought it was more black. But they had that plate-like face, and they looked very different. Little tiny mouth, 2 dots for a nose, big, huge cobalt eyes, and they had a glow to their face. It's blue.
72, Oofy. Oofy, your guess is good as mine.
A number between 1 and 78. Did she lose cards 79 to 100?
She was like, them don't include you. You only get this many.
But I really, could emotion be considered one of the 6 senses?
I think that's a reaction to the senses,
Yeah,
not,
like maybe,
not a sense.
maybe one of the clairs, because you could be like clairsentient. You just feel and you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
you chose
possible.
78. Did
72.
you choose 78 or 72?
I chose 72, Oofy.
But it would be nice to know that they have some kind of feeling. I believe that they have feeling, and I don't know. I always had the sense that they were that there was like they had something to do with us being here, and they put us here to like watch us play a game with our lives, and it was like for their entertainment or something. And they put us here and watched us go through slavery and sinking ships, and can you get out of this game or this box or this whatever. And if we could get out of that, then they put us through another thing. And it was almost like, let's see who's most intelligent, like survival of the fittest. And whoever survived that, let's put them through the next one to see who is the most intelligent, because that's who we want to keep.
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't know.
I mean, they're hyper intelligent.
If you have 100 people, you're going to have 100 hypotheses.
True. What is she saying to you?
She says, what does she say?
Affliction,
There, she wrote a book.
impairment, learning difficulties, lack of contact, the invalid reflection, clarity of thought. You have lost your way and became caught somewhere between the role of teacher and pupil. You can't see yourself as a pupil, but nor can you find the courage to teach.
Yeah, I sleep about 3 hours a night. I don't know why. I can't. I mean, 3 hours and I'm ready to get up.
That was me too. But you have energy. This no man's land is robbing you of intellectual energy and makes you feel trapped between no longer being and having become.
That could be true.
The knowledge you gain still lacks responsibility. You are not growing spiritually at the moment. You will have to beat two different paths. On the left path, you remain a pupil. On the right path, you have become the teacher. Both belong to your current development. With equal time and measure, you will be on your way to drive them. You have become a spiritual medium. You impart and accept knowledge according to need, and your designated group, you can do both now. Your knowledge has acquired therapeutic powers and entails responsibility, reaching into the depths of existence and becoming a river which enriches the soil. And now you can accept how long it will take the river to flow into the sea.
Wonderful. I should print that.
Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, I'll hang it up in the living room.
I'm afraid for mine. Can I leave now?
You gotta love her. Oofy's precious.
She is.
She is. Thank you, Oofy.
Where do you think you're going to go from here with all of this?
Me?
Mm-hmm.
You know, who knows? Who knows?
What does your gut tell you? Do you think that you're going to find mind-blowing answers?
I don't. I don't. I think I was part of a certain thing for a certain time, and I don't know. I don't know. I'm going to Maggie Valley. I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did my answer come up 3 times?
I'm gonna, find happiness that's been put on the back burner for so long. The transition.
I think everybody deserves that.
Yeah, they do.
So what are you going to do there? Are you going to study more?
Yeah, I'll probably be involved in some projects if I can, contribute in any way. There's a lot of it's like they have a lot of different things, car show. It's like a festival grounds.
Oh, that's cool.
And you're surrounded by mountains and it's just so calming and safe and protective. There's a river, a lot of woods, right up here, Blue Ridge Mountains. Do my crystal stuff and contribute what I can. But, I think this journey, I think that I'm probably to the end of this journey.
So what are you going to start new? Or are you going to wait to see what it takes you to?
No, I'm just gonna, hang out till I know what else to do. That's kind of what I do. I read signs and symbols, and when the time comes to do whatever's next, I'll know.
I like that.
Yeah. I gotta be true to me. I gotta be true to me. I've done the kids, they're grown. Everything was timed out, seemed like perfectly. And it's time for this to come to an end and to move on. I've contributed all I can to this. as far as, you know, this part goes.
So you're starting your journey of yourself.
Right, yeah.
I like that for you.
Yeah. It's time.
You deserve it.
Well, it ain't about deserve. It's about
A need.
it's a need. It's a need.
I think everyone needs that at times.
I'm just more about I want to be about quiet and resolved and being able to think without so much different incoming things going on all the time, you know. But you're starting up, so
Yes, I am.
you're on a new journey.
I'm on a different journey. I'm always on a new journey. I've always loved the paranormal. I've always been involved in the paranormal in some way. And I love talking to people. I love talking to people about the paranormal of any sort. I was really excited about talking to you tonight. I love talking to you.
Really?
It's always an open conversation.
Call me. I have to talk to
Absolutely.
myself.
And the same with you. You can always call me. We always get I mean, we're two people that we can have a difference of opinion and we don't argue over it.
It's just
That's what I like.
not worth risking relationships for
No,
to
it's
argue a
definitely not.
stupid point when it might not even be right. So, you
Well,
know,
that's the thing. You can bounce information off of somebody and just, even if it is a difference of opinion, you can leave it at that and hug and walk away. You know, that's
yeah,
what it's that's
yeah.
what's important. It's about learning.
That's right. It was a lesson for that time and that place, and then, you know, it's just another stage.
Right.
Just change
I'm
the stage you're in.
I'm afraid to read what Oofy sent to
You
me.
want me to read it to you?
I don't know. I read the first part and I'm like, right on the money.
Let me see what she said. Um, Defiance.
Yep.
The destructive child, rage, runaway Johnny, seething anger, hatred for the mother. I don't think that's true at all.
I think it's I don't think
Reject.
it's necessarily the mother. It's more like it's a different way, but the rest of it's absolutely on the mark. It's always been.
You listen. You ain't got an answer for none of this. You have lost your way. Your view of truth has become clouded by illusions. You hide from yourself and fall for your own tricks. Shit, is this me?
I don't know. I was wondering that when I was reading it because it seemed like part of you too, but I think we're a lot alike.
That might be me. I don't know. We all doing the same stuff.
I don't even understand part of this because I have to take a picture of this and read it again later.
Don't worry, it'll be on here from now on. Your great grandkids can see this.
No. This that they're not going to want to look at. It's really interesting though, because this is so accurate. It's really weird. What kind of cards are these?
She might have been appointed to me.
These are really
Say,
accurate.
Oofy, was that your project?
I'm telling you, that first block was me as a kid. Like nobody's business.
You could probably write 20 things, and every single person will hit all 20 sometime in their life. It's
No, I
just
mean
it's
that
just our
was me. I was grounded most of my life. I was
really.
grounded right from the beginning. My mother brought me home one of those doll houses with the mom, the dad, the baby, and the kid, just to let me know that they weren't forgetting about me when she brought my sister home from the hospital. I took the baby, buried it in the plant in the living room upside down, and the dog dug it up when I was a senior in high school. And she goes, "Well, we found your sister." And there was the baby.
Why did you do that?
Because I didn't want her to come home. I was the first kid in our family in like 15 years. So I was like, ta-da, here I am. I'm the greatest. And then here comes, the sister stealing the thunder after 15 years. So it was, oh, we love Maureen so much. She's like our princess. She's the entertainment. She's the singer, the dancer. And then, oh, here comes her sister. And I was like, you're going to die.
That's better than the story I got. The story I got was if I'd have known if I'd have known if you'd have been my first baby, I wouldn't have had any more.
Thank you. That's what they should have said to each other.
That's what she said. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. And here I am. Ta-da!
Here we all are, being reasons.
Wicked. Oh. So when are you leaving for your journey?
Soon as I can.
As soon as you can.
Yeah.
Like in 15 minutes?
Like I don't have a date yet. I'm looking around at properties.
Are you moving?
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Great.
Yep.
What's the UAP activity like there?
About 2 hours or so from there, there's a mountain called Brown Mountain, and it has strange lights that rise up. People pull over, get out, watch it. There's a fault line there. I really think it has something to do with the geological stuff, But Maggie Valley is such a, I don't know, when I'm there, it feels right.
So you've been there before, and that was just like, this is the place.
I've been there for 2 or 3 times a year for like 23 years. Yeah.
Okay. So that was your place.
Yeah, well, it wasn't, but they have cabins for rent and stuff. You go to a little cabin. There's a pond, there's restaurant. It ain't a big deal, but they do have a lot of conferences and things up there.
Okay.
It's Maggie Valley, North Carolina. It's only going to be about an hour and 20 minutes from here. But you're surrounded by mountains. Just beautiful, just a calm feeling, just.
So you said that the geological part of it is what draws, that it might draw.
Yeah, I think it probably could. Yeah.
So just like with spirits are drawn to water, limestone, different things.
I mean, I would say some kind of gas coming from the fault line. See, they said there were dead fault lines all this time, and we've been having earthquakes.
Okay.
It's the Blue Ridge Mountains.
Okay.
But just a really calm feeling, slower pace of life, and do some festivals, whatever, sell my things, and kids all, doing school, doing their own things. And
Ron says he has cornfields. Are they attracted to that?
ask him what he saw sitting on the toilet.
What?
Ask him.
Ron, what'd you say? Sitting on the toilet? Wait, was that sitting on the toilet, or was he sitting on the toilet?
Ron, hop on and tell her.
Please don't take a picture of yourself on the toilet.
Tell her about your UFO, Ron.
Is he hopping on?
It's a white orb.
A white orb?
He told it one night he didn't have anybody. It was like a Tuesday night or something. I hopped on, to be a co-host, and he's always wanted the UFO thing, and his neighbor saw one, and he said he saw one, but it was shooting like a laser or something in the window. Is that right, Ron? Anyway, he said he was sitting on the toilet and it's trying to laser at him. I just looked around. I just looked around. I was like, what? Relationship conflict.
Oh, so this is for Bobby then.
It was I think he got to get his affirmation is what he was looking for.
What was interesting is when he said that he saw a white laser point light from the ball of white light, and then you see you don't want to perceive a relationship conflict.
How do you want a UFO experience your whole life, and you have to tell it that you were sitting on the toilet?
And this is what you find on Incantations and Elixirs. Too many cocktails.
3 cocktails. But you can't take it too serious. You can't. I mean, it's not going to be solved overnight. It's going to take data and time and people and a big thing.
Bobby Burgess asked to repeat that again. So I think we have an issue because there's 2 Bobbies. So Bobby.
We only have Bobby Burgess. Who else do you see?
Well, I think Tin Man. Is Tin Man a Bobby also?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know who Tin Man is.
Yeah, I think Tin Man's a Bobby. So Tin Man was getting a reading from Oofy, and he was getting his reading when Ron popped in and said that he saw the white laser point light from the ball of white light while he was in the bathroom on the toilet.
Do you know how hard it was to keep a straight face when he was telling that story?
So then I said, that's funny because right after that, Bobby's reading said you don't want to perceive a relationship conflict after Ron was telling that. And then Bobby was like, repeat that again, please. That actually was a reading for Bobby Burgess.
That's absurd.
So thank you. And then that's when I said Incantations and Elixirs. And cocktails.
I don't see Bobby either. He's radio and.
Oh, he wants me to repeat what Oofy said. Do you want the whole reading repeated, Bobby, or do you want just that line? I think I'm confused now. And I didn't even have any cocktails tonight. Ron, I'm not, he said the whole thing. I can actually copy and paste it and put it in. The whole reading. Okay. Let me see if I could copy and paste this. That's my reading. This was a fun one, though. This was a good. Oh, shit. I can't. Sorry for my language.
You're good.
I don't think there is a way to copy and paste it. All right. I'll read it quick. So, Bobby, your card was number 13 also. But it's not the same. This is weird because it's not the same as my number 13. Disagreement. Aries, Libra, Mars, Venus, Battle of the Sexes, Clash, the hatchet breaking the symbol on. Why would mine not be the same then? You don't want to
He has a couple different decks.
Oh, okay. You don't want to perceive a relationship conflict. That could mean a conflict with your partner, a neighbor, friend, or family member. You are afraid to argue and clash. Your partner placed in the position of having to enact your aggressions has become your enemy. This pressure, which you want to repress with counter pressure, could just as easily surface on the bodily plane as cramps, pain, fever, or agitation. The one and only thing you can do is remove the bone of contention. You can only progress through hope and discussion. This path offers you very little harmony in the relationship. You have learned to live with the irreconcilable difference between the sexes. If you follow your ego's power reassert itself, you will inevitably lose the we. If you give into togetherness, you will sacrifice a part of yourself. You can't have your cake and eat it too. I like to have cake and eat it. Bobby, if you need that, it should still be on my Facebook page. If you want to take pictures of it, it will also be, it'll be in the comment section. It will also be on my YouTube channel and on my business page as well. So you can have that there. Oh, the true symbol on cards are interdimensional. The number is user specific, guide, selector, mentor. I'm gonna have to get these cards. I like these. So are you not doing your show tonight?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
I mean, I can't see sitting around for 2 hours just trying to find something to talk about. I don't have anything else to. I don't have anything else to say.
You're welcome, Bobby.
You can run on over and have a 4-hour show.
Why not? We can talk about whatever we want to.
Yep, we can. Ghost hunting.
Ghost hunting, secrets of the supernatural, investigating the paranormal, the world's spookiest true tales, and how to talk to ghosts. So I collect magazines like that. And the lady at the store who was checking me out told me that she thought it was ridiculous how expensive these magazines are.
Doesn't occult really just mean mystery?
Occult just means like paranormal, world's creepiest abandoned places, haunted places, world's most haunted places, paranormal. So this one's ghosts, aliens, and the unexplained. You would probably like that one. Science of the supernatural, and ghost hunting, true tales of the paranormal. I like read them once and then I put them in a pile by date. They're not even the same. So what are you doing for Halloween before we
finish? Who, me?
Mm-hmm.
Go visit a friend, hang out, chill.
Get scared.
It's gonna be cool.
Ron said we can run late if we want to. It's a good show. A cult is occluded and hidden. Who has been to a real ghost town? I don't think I've been to a ghost town.
There's a place in Maggie Valley right above it called Ghost Town.
It's called Ghost Town?
Yeah, it's like a little bitty tiny Carowinds. They kept talking about reopening it because somebody died there on one of the ski lifts.
Oh.
And they would have like actors come and do shootouts and stuff like the Old West, and they had roller coasters and stuff. It's called Ghost Town. So Oofy's on my frequency.
I never understood why they called them ghost towns, because it's not like it turned into ghosts. It's just a town that's been abandoned.
Oh, there was a town like that one time where everybody just got up and left the town, and it had something to do with a UFO. I remember that from a long time ago. Like the whole town went missing.
We have a town like that, but it was because of it's a coal town, and it's still burning underground. So it's really, really hot and dangerous. And everybody just got up and left because it's still burning. They can't put the fire out. Goofy said the question is, why is something designated a cult? Who wants what's hidden? I think everybody wants what's hidden because it's the unknown, and it's.
Or what if it gave you more power than you were ready for? Like the way to manifest things, and you were only 10 years old. In that childlike state of believing.
Interesting. There used to be really old ghost towns in California. We used to go to them. I had no interest in ghosts then. How could you not have an interest in ghosts?
Ghosts scare me. Well, might not have been ghosts. I don't know.
Esther, this channel needs only 24 more subscribers to get to 600.
Y'all subscribe so that Ron can get to 600.
Oh, Ufi said, no, we meant who wants to hide something to occlude it.
Oh, well, I'm sure you know all the names, Ufi. Do you really want me to say them out loud?
Who is the occluder, and what are they occluding, and why? That sounds like something on Scooby-Doo.
I don't think it's anything mystical. I think there's a star in the east you can pray to, which is pretty much what they do. I'm sure you know it's in the mythology. I ain't going there, Oofy. Not going there. You know who they are.
Huh. I always thought it was interesting. Anything that was unknown or hidden, or I thought because it was mysterious, there was something interesting about it.
It also could be, and I'm just devil's advocate here, after 3 cocktails. It could be something that would give you some kind of power that maybe everybody shouldn't have because of the maturity level and stuff of it.
Like how the SS, they liked the occult. How difficult is it to disentangle childhood indoctrination in tribal teachings and societal parameters? Oh, she's getting with the big words now.
Very difficult. Those are set ideals and what you think your worldview is supposed to be. It's very difficult to get past that. Part of you dies. You like have to die that part of you and be reborn. Be open up enough to look past superstitions and
Well, here in this book, The History of the Occult, it says, knowledge of the occult is knowledge of the unmeasurable, the paranormal, the spiritual, and the arcane. Its origins are shrouded in mystery. History of the occult delves deep into the past to investigate the hidden history of all things cryptic, mystic, and otherworldly. Read about the lives of famous and controversial occultists from Elizabeth I's court magician and astrologer John Dee, the possible prophet Nostradamus, and Aleister Crowley, denounced in the popular press as the wickedest man in the world, uncover spellbinding secrets about how astrology was used to find the best date for a coronation, how alchemists believed they could turn lead into gold, why seances became so popular, or how tarot cards could divine a person's future. Explore the mythic origins of the occult's most influential practitioner, Hermes Trismegistus, and how his spells and teachings have spread worldwide. Discover the runes, rituals, and star signs behind the rise and fall of Hitler's Third Reich, and how the mad monk Rasputin's dark powers influenced Russian royalty. Packed with incredible illustrations and insights, this is the perfect guide for believers and skeptics alike.
we are going to have to move on past that. We got to move past that as a society.
Yeah. I think people find it interesting because it is dark, actually.
It is.
Although I think there had to be dark for there to be light.
It's true.
I think everyone should be aware of it and know about it. Actually,
and when the time comes and the time's right and everything, I don't know, and this is just me, but I just feel like it's choreographed.
everything.
Some things can change.
I think that everyone has free will. And I think that you start here and you end here regardless of what happens, but this in the middle still leads back to where it should end. What other cultures would have similar persona to the English historical you just mentioned?
I don't have a favorite scary movie. I'm not into scary movies at all.
Similar persona to the English historical, like what other cultures would have like a John Dee? Is that what you mean, Ufi? So are you saying people seek release from their normally mundane existence and may or may not find it in the occult? Yes, I do think that. I think everybody needs a release and they find it in something else. Bingo. Yeah. So I think that everybody has it, like Rasputin was Russian. Whether he was real or not, I don't know. I think the royal family took to him very quickly. And they trusted him, and I don't know if that was the best idea or not. I think that there was probably some like Madam so-and-so in different places like Egypt. There was like one person that was a big time name. John Kelly was also with John Dee. And they actually fought over how to decode certain things.
Who is John Dee?
He was an astrologist and he was a decoder of different symbols in England. He actually worked for Elizabeth I. Yeah, each continent probably did have its own practitioners, and some probably were more well known than others.
That's interesting, Oofy. Where's this been all this time?
She's been hiding all this knowledge. You know, just like I'm very well known here in the States. Kidding. Yeah, probably in each realm too. I truly do believe that we like live a life in this dimension and probably in another dimension at the same time. And then we had previous lives also.
But you know, if you think about it,
I think deja vu is something like that too.
the human brain has the potential. There's no telling what you could do with it.
They say that we only use 10% of our brain.
Less than that, I think.
So who's to say that you're not using the other 90% in like 9 other lives?
I know. Who would say that? How could you prove that? Nobody would believe it
Right.
until you proved it. So,
Ron asked if you have a favorite scary movie.
hell no, I don't. No, I don't.
I think I recently
CNN is pretty scary.
scary.
You know,
I don't think I have a scary movie anymore. A favorite one, at least. I think it probably was The Exorcist. I hate the nun. I can't watch her in anything.
I remember the Blair Witch Trials. That was terrifying.
I don't know. I think that bored me a little bit because it was all that like everybody's like snotty at the camera.
I was terrified.
It reminds me of me in the winter.
That was before they had like reality shows and stuff. It just seemed so real because
you were snotty at the camera.
Yeah, well, no, but the cinematography and stuff.
The old ones like Frankenstein. The oldest one I really loved was 13 Ghosts, and then they remade it. But I do love anything made by Mike Flanagan, like the Haunting of Hill House.
Yeah.
It's a series thing.
What about like Lizzie Borden? The psychological stuff is what gets to me.
If that gets to you, then watch Session 9.
No, thank you.
It's a great movie.
When I think about ghosts, I think about like Casper.
Ghost.
I mean, it's just what you was brought up with. It's just what.
I never liked cartoons.
It's just things to ponder. Y'all, get your hat. Ron's got hats for sale.
Hat?
I have to wear them every time. $29.99 for a hat.
I said I wanted one.
I got one. I'll send you.
I'll send you the money. Tell me how to send it if you want it through
Pay
PayPal.
Ron, and I'll put it in the mail for you.
Okay.
I have some ready. I got the patches on.
The only cartoon I've ever liked is Ruby Gloom, and it didn't come out until I was an adult.
I've never heard of that.
It's a little girl who has ghost friends. And her name is Ruby Gloom, and she's like gloomy, and they're all ghosty. It's on YouTube.
Okay.
And it doesn't really have a full season, but she's cute.
Ron says PayPal.
All right, I'll send it on PayPal. Marco should get a card from Ufia, and I think that we should see if he thinks that his is accurate.
Hey, Marco. Oofy's a trooper. She's been here through it all. She has.
I don't like Bugs Bunny. I don't like any of those old cartoons. I never liked cartoons even as a kid. I was never I wasn't like a normal kid. I liked Golden Girls, and I don't know. I liked Flipper. I didn't like cartoons at all. Except for maybe Scooby-Doo, but that was about ghosts also. Like, this has been an ongoing thing since I was a little kid.
Do you remember Mort from Orc?
Yes. Nanu Nanu.
All that stuff's been embedded, and you don't realize the impact it has later.
Yeah.
The brain is fascinating.
I remember all of that. There was even a show that when I was a kid, we'd watch that. Well, that's what we would watch on Saturday mornings. It was about a girl whose father was an alien, and she spoke to him through like a crystal egg. And her name was Evie.
E-B? E-B-E?
I think it was Evie.
Evie with a V?
Yeah.
You know.
And she was like a teenage kid. And her mom was in like lots of shows when we were kids.
Yeah.
So it was like that, and Mork and Mindy, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Like, that was all the stuff I watched.
I remember that.
Look that up, please. The Evie show?
I think we watched Andy Griffith and the Dukes of Hazzard.
I watched that stuff too. The Dukes of Hazzard a lot.
Yeah, every Saturday morning was cartoons and cereal. I guess that was just our normal, you know.
It was called Out of This World, an American fantasy sitcom about a teenage girl who is half alien, which gives her unique superhuman powers. It first aired in syndication from September 17th of 1987 and ended on May 25th, 1991. It was actually directed by Scott Baio.
Oh, really?
Uh-huh.
I've never heard of that.
Burt Reynolds was the voice of the dad.
Marco's fixing to get some cards.
Uh-oh.
Don't pick 72, Marco.
Or 13.
What made you pick 13?
That's my favorite number.
No.
Yes.
No.
But it was completely correct. Oh, see, there's Ruby Gloom. Captain Planet would come into mind, but that is also a cartoon as well. Yeah, see, I wouldn't have watched that, Bobby. I don't know. I used to say that I always thought that I was older than I was, and I shouldn't have been a kid, which is really weird.
Yeah.
I told my parents that I was not a kid, and they were not my parents.
How many lives do you think you lived?
I know of at least 1, 2, 3. I know of at least 7.
Lord, you've been around a long time. Okay, well, let's hear it.
Wrong.
Let's hear your 7 lives.
I know that I was a witch, but I wasn't a witch in this country. I was a witch in Europe. And I remember being dunked and dunked and dunked until I almost drowned, but then they stopped and then they burned me. I know that I was a Romany gypsy, and I played the violin, which I stole. And I had someone confirm this for me because they told me it was called a Stradivarius, and I didn't even know what that was. And it's a very expensive violin. And I self-taught myself, which I actually taught myself how to play the piano here. And I love music.
Are you really good at math too?
No, I'm terrible.
No?
I'm very good at algebra, which is weird because you would think that if you're not good at math, you wouldn't get algebra. But the older I get, the better I get at math. So I don't know.
Algebra is kind of different. That's when it got hard for me.
Yeah, I think so. I'm good at percentages. I can't do fractions to save my life, especially if they're mixed fractions.
I can do that, but what I hate is like x parentheses 2
The algebra part of it.
minus 1 parentheses plus 4.
Oh, where you have to use like the please excuse my dear Aunt Sally.
Yeah, the PEMDAS.
I don't mind that part of it. Hi, Chris. So when I was in Romania, I stole the Stradivarius, and I was known as the traveling violinist. When I know that I was on the Titanic, but I don't know. I know that I was not wealthy, but I wasn't extremely poor. And I did die. There was a lot of drowning involved.
Was you playing a violin?
No. That was just in the Romany life. I think I told you about the life where I saw bits and pieces of it in this life when I was looking at my feet. I was walking and I thought I was going to trip, so I looked down and my whole, like my shoes changed and I had a dress on instead of shorts.
No, you crossed dimensions, didn't you?
Well, yeah. So I was walking, I was going someplace and I looked down because I felt like I was going to trip. And when I looked down, my flip-flops were no longer flip-flops. They were like the princess heel boots that you lace up. And I had a hoop skirt and I smelled roasting chestnuts and I heard like the clip clop of horses, and I looked back up quick and I kind of felt shocked and it was gone. When I came home, I was walking up the stairs and the stairs went from like wider wooden stairs to really thin stairs, and they kind of curved a little bit, and I saw the same boots and I saw the same skirt, and when I looked up again it changed. So I thought, I'm going to try a guided meditation, and I did it, and it said when you can see this, like the little cracks in the tube that you're going down, pick the crack that goes with the life that you'd like to view. So I like just picked a crack and I went into that crack, and when I got into that life, I was in a beautiful horse-drawn carriage, and everyone was speaking with an English accent, and I had this beautiful white dress on with light blue, and I had white gloves on and this little cute purse, and it said, if you can find a mirror or a storefront window or something, look in it. And I looked really different, but still similar. Like in your past lives, you kind of have the same features a little bit, but even if you're not female and you're male, you kind of you can recognize yourself. It's strange. So I looked in the window and someone helped me out of the carriage. And I looked in the window and I don't know, I had a smaller waist and my face was kind of triangular. and my hair was piled up on the top of my head, and it was brown, and I had like little tendrils with a bow in my hair. It was really strange to look into, and I was like, I slow blinking at myself, you know, when you're shocked. And I would move and I would like kind of like look back to see if I'm moving. And I knew it was myself. So as I started to walk down the street, it was cobblestone, but it was kind of muddy at the same time. And I could hear the horses, and I'm still, because I know it's me and I'm paying attention because it's guided, I'm still kind of like, I'd take a slow step and I'd look to see if I'd make a splash, or, you know, when you're like looking in a mirror and trying to see if it's you, I was doing that. Um, so the guy would say, listen to the people around you. What are the noises you're hearing? Do you hear an accent? Are you male or female? What is, you know, what's happening around you? And I'm listening to hear like for whistles blowing or for accents, or, and then he said, are people treating you the same way that they would treat you in your present life? So I'm kind of paying attention to that, and I'm getting really excited. Everyone I ran into, whether they were poor, rich, whatever, they were running over to me and like kissing me on the cheek and holding my hand and saying, you know, good afternoon, ma'am. And they were addressing me as if I was something important, but I couldn't figure out yet what was going on. So I'm walking into stores and shopping, and I'm addressing people like I knew them all, but I'm addressing them as if they're my friends, every single person. And they're still like, good afternoon, ma'am. What can I get for you? Can I do this? So I went back. Now the guy is saying, go to look for your home, see what your home looks like. And all of a sudden, this carriage pulls into this huge, stately mansion with this gate, and it said BE, and it was Brandywine Estates.
Oh, yeah.
Since I did this, everywhere I go, I see the word Brandywine. Like it hits me right in the face everywhere. So I go in.
Yeah. A lot of what we do overlaps.
Mm-hmm. So as I almost opened the door like I didn't belong there, and I kind of like looked in, and I hear, "Mommy," and that freaked me out. I almost like wanted to close the door, and there are two little kids, a boy and a girl. And this woman came over and she said, "Ma'am, it's so good to see you. How is your shopping?" And she hugged me. So she was my umpire or lead or
Yeah.
whatever. And all my help was like family. They were helping me, but we were talking like we were friends or family or whatever. And then I went to change, and as I was changing, my husband walked in, and he had like really fancy military type clothing on, and it turned out that he owned all the mercantiles in the area, but he was also like the captain of whatever this service was, Army, Navy, whatever it was. I went to go to work, but it was volunteering. So I went to the orphanage, and it was an orphanage for very sick children. They were either disfigured or they were really sick, and they were babies. I mean, they weren't older than maybe 4, and they came running, and it actually said, like, what is different about your life? What is similar about your life? That's actually something that I probably would do because I love kids so much, but it's also that kids and animals are drawn to me. Like, babies will go, like, try to grab for me, and people would say, "They don't go to anyone, and they just wanna come to me." And I remember leaving there at the end of my shift and bawling my eyes out because these kids were so sick. But, I saw my wedding. It was like little glimpses of everything. I saw my wedding. I saw my children. I saw these babies. I saw the people that I met in the street. And it was just asking at the very end, how is your life similar and how is your life different? And I remember thinking, how is my life different? Like, I don't have this kind of money. I will never have this kind of money in my entire life. But how is it the same? I treat people like I want to be treated. I don't ever turn anyone away. Um, I try to be kind to anyone that comes to me, and I try to be helpful as much as possible. Um, I I'd like to think that people think of me that way. And if someone needs me for something, I try to be helpful and take care of them. I've taken people into my home.
It will all be rewarded
And I don't even think about it that
because you didn't do it for the reward, but it will be rewarded. If you had a wanted to do it for the reward, it wouldn't have been rewarded. You know?
yeah, I don't even want a reward. I just
I know. I know.
it was just nice to have the respect and be treated well and know that people felt that way, that they were um, that they felt respected. That's what was important.
It's hard because I'm in a different place now because I've always been that for everybody, but now they're up and gone.
That's where I'm at,
Yeah.
and it's okay. That's their lesson to learn.
Yeah. You're right. It is.
That's
Lot of paths cross, during lifetimes, and we just get what we're supposed to learn and keep going.
and the thing is, I would never do anything different.
Wouldn't
That's
either.
that's just who I am, and I think that's why I needed to see that, because when you do things like that for people, I mean, this last weekend, I was doing an event, and I had these kids come to me, and I know for a fact that they don't have much at all because at the end of the night, they came back again to see me, and they were excited to see me. And I said, "Did you have anything to eat today?" And they said, "No." And that said a lot. But all they wanted to do was come and learn from me. And they came back all 3 days to see me. Um, they were excited just to be there and just to sit with me, and I think they ate all of my Jolly Ranchers.
Yeah.
And that's okay because that's what I wanted them to be safe. I wanted them to be off the streets. They were probably about 13 to 15, and um, they told me what their future was going to be, and it was really sad. And I just wanted to make sure that that's not where it was going. They were dying for a reading. They wanted to play with dowsing rods and pendulums, and I taught them what to do with them. They wanted my card so they can text me or call me anytime. And knowing that they have that, if something happens to them, they have someone that's out of their normal circle to call, and they know that they can trust me if they need me.
Yeah, we got to get past the labels as a society. We got to get past the labels. Every individual's special because of, you know,
Yeah.
they're original. They're original. And You probably don't know the impact you had on them till later.
I didn't. I cried the whole way home. I do that a lot. I try to be the tough girl, and I lose it afterwards.
Well, ain't we all?
But it was interesting to see them. I knew the first night that they would be back both days.
And you know what? They probably appreciated the time that you spent with them because you don't know what they go home to.
They told me what they go home to. It's not easy at all. And the first night, I just didn't want to even have them leave. I wanted them to come home with me. But I know it's illegal to take them. And I know I can't rescue everybody. And I know that I can't house everyone. But I'm starting to realize that some people have it really, really good and they think that they have it terrible. Some people believe things that aren't true. Some people don't want to listen, and some people have it terrible and they're living through hell and they have nowhere else to go. I mean, it's thanks, Sophie. That means a lot. You can't win a war that you're fighting by yourself.
You're not by yourself. You got sisters.
Sometimes it feels that way, and then I get a reminder once in a while.
All you got to do is call.
Same. I like that quote. Every time you do such things, another feather for your wings. But I think every lifetime you don't just look familiar or similar. You have the same characteristics or the same personality. I think you have to, because you have to finish learning the lessons that you needed to, and then you move on to the next lesson. If you were very different, you wouldn't be able to do that.
Evolution there.
More toast.
Sometimes you just get tired of hitting a wall, you know?
Yeah, I know.
Keep hitting a wall, so you got to get past it.
Yeah, I think there always is an army behind us. There's a weird noise.
What does it sound like?
Breathing.
By me.
No, it's not that. It's like here, though. I've been hearing people talking in my house.
Yeah, I heard some talking night before last in my house.
Yeah, there was a little girl giggling in my house. And there was a man talking, almost like answering me. And I was like, is anyone talking? And my husband's like, you are. I think they think that I'm losing my mind sometimes. I've done that long ago.
Well, sometimes you got to lose it so you can go find it, you know?
Yeah, it'll give me something to do in my time.
Yeah, it's a downtime. Ron, are you not going to jump on him?
He's afraid.
Scared?
Do I ask who they are? Yes. I don't think I've had anyone answer me. The problem is I'm afraid that I've had a mimic in my house before, and I don't want to stir that up.
Yeah. I think I woke up one time to see myself from behind myself.
That's not good. Don't ever talk to it. Don't ever.
And that was a long time ago. I was little.
Yeah, don't ever talk to it. Don't ever.
I didn't realize it was me at the time.
He wants to send a link on Messenger.
I'm going to send it to him so he can get on the show.
Do you want to go till like 9? That would be like another 25 minutes.
Whenever. I'm good.
You're going to send the link?
Yeah, I'm going to send it to Ron.
Okay. What is Goofy sending? Ancientsymbols.com.
Goofy's a library.
I could literally go down the rabbit hole with anything that people send to me.
I know. You got to look at it, analyze it, think about it, go back and look at it. I know. Decode it. It's our nature. Hey, Ron.
Hey, what's going on?
Not a lot.
You know, just hanging out.
Thank you for hanging out and staying longer. This is interesting.
My pleasure.
We're just having fun here.
And yeah, you don't have to be too serious here. Just enjoy the conversation.
I love my
So I
sister.
was saying in chat, I had a mini bike when we were growing up. You know, one of the ones had five horsepower engine. You know, like the biggest engine they had
Mhm.
by a company named Cat. You know, Cat mini bikes. And this was in the late '60s. And I thought it would be fun to try to crash through the wooden gate that was beside the house. But for some reason, I didn't line it up right with the wooden gate, and I ran right into the house.
Oh my God.
No helmet, right? And I was out.
You were out for how long?
But I learned real quick how to respect even that small mini bike, So, but yeah, so I was watching a documentary on infinity,
Uh-huh.
talking about the universe being infinite, basically. But
Yeah,
they're
we
not
talked about
they're
that.
not really sure about it, right? They don't know if it really is infinite because there's no definitive proof of that. So there's no border that you can put on the end of it. You know what I mean?
Oofy, I think I've got these dice because I think these came from Venus.
Which one?
This symbol she sent, this link, ancient symbols.
Oh, okay. Yeah, 'cause I sent you that.
Mathematical symbols have their part to play in incantations and spells.
I sent you that set of dice, right, Esther?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay. We need to work on those one of these days. Check those out. See what they are.
One of these days.
So now, what do you think of the infinite universe? Do you think that there is it just keeps on going, or does it go into a loop pattern where it kind of repeats itself? Or is it definitely non-ending?
Which part of it?
Like when you look in the sky, of course tonight I have clouds, so I can't see the sky.
I have always heard it's constantly expanding, but I've also read that it contracts sometimes. So I wouldn't be the one to know.
Right. Well, you know that we have, what was it, the Voyager spacecraft has reached, well, it's gone past the edge of the known solar system.
Yeah, you remember you remember when you said space is water?
Space is water.
And
Yes.
you was like the Voyager the Voyager's way else, John.
No, well, see, now what's interesting with that, though, Esther, is that I also saw a documentary on the History Channel, and they were talking about a piece of asteroid that they had that had a water droplet in it.
Did you see the meteorite that's got DNA?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
came out today too.
So now, what is all that about? You know, there's stuff that we don't know about. Now, when you look at the water aspect of space, all right. Now, I'm not saying it's like water that we drink. I'm not even saying it's water like the ocean, but it's some form of water. Then you have ice, that's still water, right?
Right.
Then you have salt water for our oceans. You got fresh water for our lakes. You know,
You
and
good,
and
Maureen?
what?
I asked Maureen if she's good.
I'm good.
Oh yeah. And then so anyway, in the story of the creation story, if you believe that story, and if you can be entertained by it for a second as I explain it, talks about the waters being separated from the waters, or the firmament being separated from the firmament. Yeah, you know what I mean. Anyway, so you have the water on the earth and you have water in the sky. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's where I get that idea of space being water. Okay? I'm not the one that wrote the Bible, so I couldn't speak to where they came up with that idea. But
I think that's interesting that it was probably automatic wrote.
yeah, but now what the thing is though, when we have the UFO crash or UFO crafts, they come out of the water, whether it be the ocean, whether it be rivers, whether it be lakes. Okay, why are they coming out of the water? Because they're going through the water into a water area of our planet.
Opie, which comment?
The one that
Venus,
says, oh, I think
Venus,
it's gone now.
Venus has one. Not sure where that came off.
No, Opie says someone might want to remove our
Mystic symbols, incantations, one must understand their meaning and how they may be combined to affect a certain
comment
evocation.
that has been showing for almost an hour now.
But that's not the one. There was one that was stuck.
I don't know.
And then Venus wanted to know though, would a lesbian sex party be considered a coven?
I wouldn't know,
We
Venus.
all share energy after. I don't know where that question came from.
Left field.
Uh, yeah, people must be getting tired. They're going to sleep on us. All right, I did look up that word that Upi posted up there before. Quincunx.
She
It
brought up the
has to
mystic.
do with astrology. Okay, Upi says,
It's an arrangement of 5 objects with 4 at the corners of a square rectangle and the 5th at its center, used for the 5 on dice or playing cards and in planting trees, or an aspect of 150 degrees equivalent to 5 zodiacal signs.
okay. Yes, that's interesting. There's a lot that I need to learn about the astrology signs and different things, and I'm doing the tarot cards pretty well, but I have to learn what some of them are. You know, and Upi said something about you mentioned a
Math.
comment about algebra. Yep.
Esther commented about algebra. Math symbols and mystic symbols are one and the
Oh, okay. I got it. All right. So yeah, I didn't do too well in math either. Uh,
You ever had to learn the binary code?
Yeah.
decimal code, Dewey Decimal System.
No, no, it's like zeros and ones.
Zeros
Yeah,
and ones. Yeah.
and then
That's what
I got a D. I got a D in algebra, so I did pass. I did pass. So there's that. Um, what I liked about one part of algebra was factoring, like what Maureen was talking about with fractions. You have to factor down to a whole number, right?
Mhm.
So when you learn the process of how that's done, it's actually kind of interesting. So, and then when you see how that now, I never understood how x can equal whatever number. You know what I mean? Like you have
That was hard
letter.
for me to grasp too,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
I guess math is like I don't know. It's the language that never ever being can understand somehow.
yeah.
I think you can
Well, see,
figure
what
out
was in there
something.
on Star Trek? I can't remember if it was the Next Generation. Where they had the trinary people. They came in triples. Triplets.
Mhm.
And like you had the binaries where you had two of them which would have to work together to get the problem solved, right?
Yeah.
And so like if it was a computer issue or a technical issue, then they had to work both of them together had to work to figure it out. And the same thing happened with the trinary or triplets. You know, they'd all
Yeah.
be they'd all have their own answers, but the, they'd all be talking the same thing. It was weird.
So I looked
So
and
and
then
then today when I went to the post office, so it was interesting. I have a actually, since I'm on camera, I can show you my recorder I got. I got one of these recorders, right? Okay, this is a 8.6 handy Zoom recorder. All right. So what I do is I just turn it on, just turn on the power, and I hit record, and I set it down, and I leave. The only thing I'm hearing, for the most part, is the clock ticking. That's how good these mics are. All right. So I hear the clock ticking, but then I hear that someone building that box. Remember, Maureen, you were talking about that box with the
Mhm.
guys building in the basement? So I hear something like that, but not very loud, just like little tapping here and there, whatever. And then I heard something like someone was shuffling through some paperwork. You know, I was like, I'm not, I was not here. I was gone. There was nobody here when that noise is going on. Now I heard when I came back, I can hear the door squeak when I came in, and when I closed the doors, I could hear all that. So I know it wasn't me making the noise because I wasn't here. So who was shuffling the papers around?
What
That's
was
what I want
what was on your land before your house was there?
to. Nothing.
Are you sure about that?
Oh, this house was built in 1945.
Oofy says
And
the only reason to learn math symbols and spells is to help summon an
Affectation.
of information.
interesting. And so, um, in the when it became a city, they first originally wanted the county seat to be here, right? But
Mhm.
then everybody moved away for some reason, and they moved to Wyndham. But Wyndham has 5,000 people instead of us, which is fine. We have 349 here, on a good day. So that's pretty nice. Compared to, I lived in Minneapolis and I lived in Brooklyn Center. And in that whole area with Minneapolis and St. Paul, you're looking at a million people, in that area. So Minneapolis alone, you're looking at somewhere around 300,000. You know, So, I'll take 349 people. You know?
But was there like a town there before?
No, this became a city. If you look up my name, Jeffers, you'll see it has actually two names. And when I look up the temperature on Google, it'll come up with either Amboy Township or it'll say Jeffers, depending on what it feels like. So you'll be like, Amboy Township, where's that at? No, that's what this town was originally called. But then the guy that owned most of the farmland around here, last name was Jeffers, so they called the town Jeffers.
I remember we looked up that farm in New Jersey. Remember?
What farm? What farm?
Your family. You thought your family had.
Oh, for my family farm. Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sure that there was one. So we'd have to get the family name at that time. That'd be kind of difficult because well, it might be my last name, but it might not be my last name because in my family line there was like 12 different names for the family names. Okay, so like in Denmark, you had 12 families that owned land next to each other. We're all farmers. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
If you look that up, if you look up the history of the land ownership of Denmark, you'll see what I'm talking about. But normally it's like several family names, surnames that are involved in owning the family land. Okay, so like in my case now, my current last name means 12. Now, what happened was the story goes like this: that my grandpa, which is my dad's dad, right?
Mhm.
He came off at Ellis Island from Denmark on a navy ship or whatever,
Yeah.
and landed on Ellis Island and was trying to get checked in and be a citizen. So he was going through the list of family names, right? And
Yeah.
they stopped on this one.
Nah, it could have been. Could have been called worse. Could have been worse.
Yeah. Well, well, I am related to a lot of your different names that have SEN.
Yeah.
Like for instance, Johnson, SEN, not ON. ON is English or something like that. And but EN is Denmark, and Jensen is possibly a family name. And so that's kind of interesting when you think about that. How many people we are actually related to, you know? And my dad was actually requested to go back and serve under the royal family, but he said no, he didn't want nothing to do with it. So, which is probably a good idea. So he wanted to stay here in the United States, which I'm glad he did. So, but yeah, so there is royalty in my family. And
Yeah.
if you look at my palms, Esther, I think I showed you a picture of my palms before.
No, but I remember Julie reading your Akashic record.
Right.
Yeah.
And what do you remember about that?
I remember. What do I remember about that?
Well, I know she said something about royalty. I know that.
I know that night you rambled for hours
Right?
and didn't remember none of it. I gotta
I
go,
can ramble.
y'all.
I can ramble at least. That's
I
one good
gotta
thing.
go.
Uh, but no, on both my palms, though. All right, they say one X on one of your palms means something depending on what palm it's on. So if it's on like the left palm, it means you're gonna be wealthy. If it's on the right palm, that means
You're a witch.
royalty.
Look,
Now I have
I'm broke.
X's, one on each hand.
Yeah, broke, broke, not a witch.
I
You can
can't
see,
even see anymore.
yeah. But yeah, so I have X's on each palm, clear.
Now everybody's got our fingerprints.
Aliens are going to take us
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and use our fingerprints for bad things.
Probably
Oh,
got
boy.
numbers. Or
Now they said
barcodes.
something about if you put your palms together, you line them up where the lines match on each hand, and then that will tell you something. I'm not sure what that means, but anyway, I read that.
What good is it to do?
Uh,
If you don't.
If
I
you
gotta
have
go.
if you have an M in your hand,
Well, yeah, and I was married, and
it
yeah,
means you have abilities.
it broke right there.
There's an M here, and I have two M's in that hand.
there you go.
I don't know.
Now, do you remember? Do either of you remember the bubble theory on the universe idea?
Bubble theory?
Yeah, I'm not really trying to derail. I'm just trying to come up with something to.
Probably means both hands are attached to the same body.
Yeah, but no, bubble theory is there's a basically, let's take our solar system for instance, just our solar system. Imagine we're in our own little bubble. Okay.
Okay.
Now, right next to it, there's a copy of our solar system in its own little bubble,
Okay.
and that's all throughout the universe.
All right.
Yeah.
So there's
Now,
like twins of each galaxy?
yeah. So you'd have bubbles, and now what we see on our space, like we see the field of galaxies and the lion in the Leo the Lion constellation, and you can see like 25 galaxies in the same view, you know, and that's in our bubble, believe it or not. Not in our solar system bubble, but in our universe bubble. Okay.
James Webb put out some beautiful pictures.
Now, if you want to know about astronomy, you need to check out STLS with Mark D'Antonio. Okay.
Okay.
STOS?
He does nightly observation sessions every clear night that he's available, that he's not working on some other project. So, but make sure you check that out. And let me see if I can get that YouTube channel link so I don't get lost here. Yeah, I had to remember to mute my YouTube. All right, let me see here.
Maureen,
Okay.
it was fun being on your show.
Thank you so much. I
Nobody's
love
ever just sat and asked me stuff, like what my opinion was. So,
Well, I think your opinion matters, and I think that you've had so many guests that it was your turn.
Yeah. All right, now that's not coming up for some reason. I know how to look it up though.
I appreciate that. You had some good questions too.
I was ready for you, baby.
All right, now when I go to my subscriptions, I got like a million different channels here I don't even follow. What the hell? Hold on 1 second.
You better hurry. My bladder ain't that big.
Oh, hold on.
Are you ready for next week's? This is my big topic for next week.
What?
What's that?
Possession and exorcism.
Ooh.
Yeah, hell no. I probably need it though.
All right.
Yeah, I might drop in. Just listen,
So now, what do you think possession is? We can ask that question.
You
What
can look
is
at it all kind of ways.
I think that there's attachment and then there's possession.
Ah.
So I think I'll go over both.
Okay.
And I think that there has to be, I mean, just like I said earlier, you wouldn't have light if you didn't have dark.
Correct.
So we will discuss possession and exorcism.
Okay, now let me see. Now I got that link here. And then now, if you don't have this on your subscriptions yet, make sure you get to it and subscribe. We're going to have a lot going on there.
I learned a lot tonight. I didn't know anything about UFOs or UAPs or.
And now you know less.
No, that's not true. I think the thing that I did find out for sure is that we may never know, because just like with the paranormal, it becomes more and more interesting, and there's so much to test and find out, and it's a lot of unknown.
Yeah.
It might just be part of the human experience.
Correct. But
Well,
it is very interesting.
It is.
you know, there was something that someone said about time, right? Time in this realm is not the same as in that realm.
Yeah.
Okay. And so think about that. Like, I'll hear somebody, well, like the old man building the box in the basement at 3 o'clock in the morning. Like, what the hell are you doing? He don't know it's 3 o'clock in the morning.
Maureen, don't ghosts come out around 3?
Yeah, well, they kind of come out whenever they want.
Witching hour is like 3 to 4.
That's about when aliens show up.
But I mean, in my house, I've seen them at all different times. I've seen them in Gettysburg at all different times. I've seen them at 10 o'clock. I saw my mom at 4:44. I mean, it's.
Do you think it's like a replay of what they always did, or do you think it means something?
I think it's both. I think the replay is when it's not an intelligent haunting. I think when it's a replay, it can be like a significant traumatic experience, like in Gettysburg. It's the battle, and it's the same thing every single day, or the same thing that same day every single year.
What do they call it? They call it a residual.
A residual haunting.
Yeah. And so those are just like amazing, more or less. It's not like they can hurt you necessarily.
If it's a residual, no, they can't. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll literally walk right through you. Or if there was an extra room built in a house, or there was a wall put in, they won't think that wall is there because it wasn't there at that time.
Right.
They'll just walk right through it.
So, are you going to have a guest next week then?
I just might.
Oh, that'd be good. I know you know a lot of people, so get them going. And just think about it. You know, everyone gets extra time to talk about what they want to talk about. And I mean, if Esther needs to take a break from her show, then we'll just run an extended show if somebody wants extra time. And it's a lot of fun. So,
Yeah.
good idea.
I have something in the works, and if it works out, it's going to be amazing.
And I like how you have all your channels selected this time.
Yes.
Oh, that's good.
That was a fluke thing. It may or may not have been ghosts and aliens that did something wrong.
Right. But I think we got a lot of people watching on Facebook, and we have a few here in YouTube that's been watching. So I appreciate everybody watching. And if you have not subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure to get on over here and subscribe.
Yeah, thank you everyone for watching so much. And Esther, thank you for being my guest. I loved having you.
Maureen, thank you for having me.
And you know, you guys get extra pay tonight, right?
I love you.
We get extra pay tonight? That's
These
great.
Yeah,
women are
you get extra pay tonight. You get
women, my sisters.
you get overtime pay, not double time because it's not the weekend. It's only overtime pay.
Time and a half, Ron.
What exactly
Yeah.
does that add up to?
Time
Zero.
and a half is
But
none.
a zero and a pat on the back for doing a good
Zero
job.
and a half of zero is 0.5.
No, if I actually had, supporters, like financial supporters, that'd be one thing, and I could actually pay people for doing their job, and
Yeah,
actually be a real
it's
thing.
it's a humanity thing, don't you think, Maureen?
It's a lot of fun, actually. I
Yeah,
really love
it is.
this.
And what I like about it is, Maureen, you can definitely talk about your different sites you have going on, your website. You can share that, which I think you did in chat, but you can definitely share it on the air as well. And Esther, you as well. You can share your Facebook pages or the project you got, what you talked about with Jesse.
We're just
You
gonna
know,
all go out and visit her.
what's
Who,
up?
me?
Yeah, we're gonna come out and visit.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah, you're not that far away from her, I don't think.
Y'all come on.
I'm a little ways away, a little bit of a drive.
More the merrier.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, thank you for watching. Thank you for visiting. Thank you for saying hello.
Marco
Thanks for
said good
spending-
show. Oofy said we did good. Thank you all.
Hope you had fun. We'll miss you, Esther. We hope you have great luck with what you're doing and that you relax and have lots of fun.
Well,
And
yeah.
Oofy said,
I mean, you just get stagnant. You got to
Oop-
keep moving,
yeah, Oofy said we should have Venus on as a guest.
Bring
You
her
can
on.
always be a guest with us. You could be a co-host if you'd like to be a co-host with me.
I appreciate
She does.
that.
She has a different flair for what she does on the Reiki. She does from the Native American style type stuff.
You talking about
Well,
Venus?
yeah, yeah. So she has a different way of looking at things. Not anything bad, not at all. I mean, Michael Carter had a different way of looking at things too.
Yeah.
But all good. Everything's good. And that's one thing that I can say about everyone that does this kind of work with the Reiki and the different, I don't want to say weird stuff, but not witchcraft or nothing like that. I mean, just talking about the spiritual activity that you're trying
You
to work
know,
on,
I mean,
healing people or whatever.
it seems to be all the same thing. Different people just call it different things.
Yeah. And I think that that's great that everyone has their own way of doing things.
That's right. That's right. That's
So
why.
thank you all for watching, and we really appreciate it so much.
Okay.
Stay
Thank y'all
tuned
for
next
having me.
week. And again, Esther, if you ever want to be a co-host, I would love to have you. Everyone stay tuned next week, Thursday night, 6 to 8 Eastern Standard Time. Possession and exorcism.
And if you like music, Bobby has a Space Wave coming up at 10 p.m.
Correct.
Bye, everybody in chat.
Bye. See y'all
All right,
next
bye-bye, everybody.
week.
Y'all
We'll
have a
be
good
back.
night.
Thank you.
Incantations and Elixirs. Conversation meets cocktails. Have a good night.